All right, diving in today, folks, and we are going deep on Stoicism.
Always a good time for Stoicism.
It really is, and specifically, this fascinating idea of living according to nature, which,
Hmm.
we've got some pretty incredible sources for both ancient texts and modern takes on it.
Oh, yeah, a really rich history of thought there.
And the mission here, as always, is to, cut through the noise and figure out what this ancient wisdom can offer us in this crazy world.
Exactly. It's not just
Lot
for
to get into there.
philosophers and togas, right? It's got
Yeah.
some really practical advice for like how we deal with, the environment, work stress, just finding some peace in daily life.
Yeah, so let's get right to it. Because when we talk about nature in the Stoic sense, I feel like it's way more than just, trees and birds, right?
Oh, absolutely. They weren't just talking about taking a hike, right? For them, nature meant the whole shebang, the entire cosmos, like everything that exists.
Wow. So not just the physical stuff, but like intangible forces and ideas too.
Right, exactly. And the key is they saw all of it, all of nature, as inherently rational, almost divine in its order and purpose.
So there's a sense that the universe isn't just random chaos. There's a reason behind it all.
Yeah, and that reason, that underlying order, they called it the logos.
Okay, the logo, so that's like the universal principle or force that makes everything tick in harmony.
Precisely, it's like the grand scheme, the blueprint. And so living according to nature for a Stoic means using our own reason, our logic, to understand and align with this cosmic order.
So it's like we've got to get on board with how the universe already works,
Exactly, instead of fighting against it, right?
which is kind of what we do a lot of the time, huh?
Well, we try our best,
Well,
right? And to the Stoics, this idea of everything being interconnected was huge. Like Marcus Aurelius even talked about the universe as one living creature.
one living creature. Wow. So everything's kind of woven together, affecting each other.
Right, and they had a specific term for this, sympathio.
Sympathia.
Yeah, think of it like a spider web.
Okay.
You tug on one strand, the whole thing vibrates, right? That's the interconnectedness they're talking about. And they even went further positing this fundamental force called pneuma.
Pneuma.
It's like the breath of the cosmos connecting everything together, including our ability to reason,
So even our minds are part of this interconnected web.
part of the fabric of the universe.
Okay, well, let's bring this down to earth a bit, because obviously we're facing some pretty pressing environmental challenges today.
hmm
How does this Stoic worldview inform our responsibility to the planet?
Well, if nature is this perfectly ordered system, right, it just seems completely irrational.
Goes against the logos.
Exactly. And modern thinkers have really latched onto this idea, interpreting living according to nature as including, eco-conscious actions like minimizing our impact, living more sustainably.
I'm also thinking about those core Stoic virtues like temperance, justice. Do they come into play here?
Oh, absolutely. Temperance isn't just about personal restraint. It's about not over-consuming resources, not disrupting that balance in nature.
In justice, well, that has to extend to how we treat the planet.
Right. Like we owe it to the planet, to future generations.
There's a scholar, Kai Whiting, who argues that sustainable development is the true embodiment of those Stoic principles.
It makes so much sense. And then you have that classic Stoic emphasis on simple living, right? Focusing on what you truly need over what you want.
Less stuff, less waste.
Exactly. Remember Epictetus's analogy about the shoe? A shoe just needs to fit. It doesn't need to be fancy or trendy.
Right, it's about function over excess.
And Seneca even questioned excessive travel, advocated for moderation in our diets, things that resonate even more today.
Yeah, especially with all this talk about carbon footprints and mindful consumption.
It's all connected.
And if we accept that the universe is this finite, interconnected system, like the Stoics did, respecting ecological limits, becomes crucial.
Absolutely crucial for the whole thing to work.
There's a scholar, Chris Gill, who pointed out that for the Stoics, nature itself was a moral standard.
That inherent order and reason in nature is like a blueprint for how we should live.
It's like nature sets the example.
Exactly. And then there's that mind-blowing concept of ekpyrosis, the cyclical destruction and renewal of the cosmos.
So everything burns away and then is reborn.
Right. It's a constant cycle, and it's a powerful reminder of impermanence and our responsibility as stewards of the planet during our brief time here.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit, bring this closer to home. How does this Stoic view of nature relate to our own human nature?
So the Stoics saw us as rational social creatures.
Okay.
And I think this is so relevant today because we're all so stressed and overworked, right?
Oh, tell me about it.
And to the Stoics, this constant overworking it actually goes against our very nature because it
Mhm.
impairs our ability to reason, to connect, to reflect.
Right, like we're not functioning at our best.
Exactly. And those things, reason, connection, reflection, they're fundamental to being human.
That dichotomy of control that Stoics talk about feels really relevant here,
Oh, it's key, right? Because we can't always control our workload,
especially these days, right?
but we can control how we react to it.
For anyone who's not familiar with this idea of the dichotomy of control, it's basically about focusing on what's within our power, our
Mm,
thoughts, our actions, our reactions, and letting go of what we can't control.
exactly. So much of Stoicism boils down to that accepting what we can't change and focusing on what we can.
So in terms of work-life balance,
Mm.
how do we apply that?
Setting boundaries is a huge one, practicing mindfulness to be present in each moment and, valuing leisure time.
Seneca called that otium, right?
Otium, exactly. He saw it as essential for restoring the mind and spirit. And then there's embracing challenges with patience and self-discipline.
Which can be tough.
It is tough, but it aligns with that idea of being a rational being, not letting emotions run wild.
And then you have those classics Stoic practice like journaling or memento mori, reflecting on our mortality.
Oh, those are powerful tools for sure, because they help us keep things in perspective.
Right. Like in the grand scheme of things, does that deadline really matter that much?
Exactly. It helps us prioritize and manage stress.
It's amazing how the historical Stoics really walked the walk. Seneca was incredibly wealthy, but he still emphasized having enough and valuing time over material possessions.
He was all about that simple living.
And then you have Epictetus, who found this incredible inner freedom even while enslaved.
Such a testament to the power of the mind.
And of course, Marcus Aurelius, striving for virtue amidst the pressures of being an emperor.
Talk about demands on your time.
Right, they weren't just talking the talk. They were living proof that aligning with nature isn't just some theory, it's a practical way to navigate life's challenges no matter what your circumstances.
It's a philosophy for real life.
And it's fascinating how some modern fields like environmental science and life coaching seem to echo these ancient Stoic principles.
It's like they're rediscovering that ancient wisdom through a modern lens.
So environmental science, with all its data on interconnected ecosystems, is basically confirming what the Stoics were saying about the interconnectedness of nature.
Exactly, and life coaching with its practical tools for stress management and resilience, that's like translating Stoic philosophy into actionable steps for today.
So let's talk about some of those actionable steps.
Yeah.
What are some concrete Stoic-inspired things we can do to live more in harmony with nature, both the natural world out there and our own nature?
Well, I think it starts with simple things, connecting with the natural world every day.
Like what specifically?
Oh, going for a walk, being present outdoors without your phone.
Just being in nature?
Exactly. Maybe bringing some plants indoors, gardening, listening to the birds.
Just tuning in.
And then on the sustainable living front, using reusable items, conserving energy, reducing food waste.
About those everyday choices.
And then maybe some bigger picture stuff like rethinking our consumption of animal products and how we travel.
Those are tougher but important.
It's about aligning our actions with our values.
And the benefits of all this seem pretty clear. Less stress, greater inner peace.
Seneca was big on that. He saw leisure time as essential for restoration.
And overwork as a violation of our natural limits.
Exactly. Which leads to all those negative emotions we're trying to avoid.
So it's not just about saving the planet, it's about our own well-being, too.
It's all interconnected, right?
And I love that Stoic idea of cosmic citizenship.
Oh, that's a powerful one.
It reminds us that we're all part of this bigger community, this cosmopolis, as they called it, governed by natural law, with responsibilities to each other and to the planet.
What's bad for the hive is bad for the bee.
I think that sums it up perfectly.
Yeah, it's a good one to remember.
Well, this deep dive has really driven home the point that living according to nature isn't just some lofty ideal, it's a practical framework for a better life, for ourselves and for the world around us.
Couldn't said it better myself.
So for everyone listening, take a moment to consider your own place in this amazing web of nature, and maybe identify one small, concrete step you can take today towards a more harmonious and responsible way of living.
It's about that ongoing reflection and that commitment to living a life of purpose and connection, always considering how your actions align with the inherent order of the cosmos.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into Stoicism. Thanks for joining us.
Until next time.
Take care, everybody.